you say, everybody? Welcome to Elephant in the Room. Roll Tide Pods. Again, thank you for hanging out with us here and talking as we do twice a week about Alabama athletics, a lot of football, but some basketball with the way that the Crimson Tide are heading into a colossal matchup this Saturday. And before Jake Coker and me, Mick Gillispie, get talking about everything with the Crimson Tide, let me remind you guys that we want you to be part of what we're doing here. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up at Roll Tide Pods and share with your friends, right? We got to get momentum built for this alliance that we formed with you. And then the other thing is that we're brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag, up to $1,000 price match when you use the promo code next round on that initial wager. So if you pick Alabama to beat Tennessee Saturday night at the airplane hangar in Tuscaloosa, Coleman Coliseum, you could win some big money. This is really a colossal game, Jake. I mean, like, and it goes to show what Nate Oates has brought to the table, because Alabama didn't play in these type of basketball games for years.
And now it seems like it's every year.
Yeah.
And this one's a big one for Nate Oates, in my opinion, just because Tennessee, to me, is a more talented team. Can we show up and play defense? I don't know if you saw, I can't remember the guy's name for Tennessee, that the white guy that scored like
Connect.
I mean, that guy's an animal.
He dunked it.
Yeah, he dunked it, shoot it.
He took over the game against Auburn.
Yeah.
What is it, Dalton Connect?
He's the best player on the floor, but the worst free throw percentage on the team, too.
Yeah,
or
on like Shaq.
Yeah. But he can shoot from three. He's quick, explosive, all of those things combined. They got that point guard that
Ziegler.
I feel like, has been there since 2000.
Yeah.
And
feels like guys play a lot longer these days.
Well, I mean, he's still playing. He's got his COVID year,
but you know what I mean? Like, it's like when somebody actually runs out of eligibility, you're like, dude, what? They got to transfer, or they got to go to the NBA or the NFL.
Ziegler was a senior like 3 years ago.
I know, he's a good player. Yeah, connected. And it's like all these teams, it's like, who's the best at the transfer portal, which Nate Oates is good at,
Yeah. Well, he's always going to have talent, especially now.
So 3 games to go. Last night, Alabama played bad in the first half, and then all of a sudden they scored all those points at the end of the first half, and then they scored like 64 in the second half.
Yep. When I saw the start of that Ole Miss game, I was thinking, there it was, Kentucky broke us. We're done. I was like Ryan Anderson about to rip the TV off the wall.
Are you like that in tune with basketball, where you would rip a TV off for hoops?
No, I'd never rip a TV off the wall. I wouldn't want to pay for a new one.
No, come on. That's love.
But I hate when basketball season rolls around. Like if we were playing Tennessee and we had lost to Ole Miss and we weren't playing for the SEC title, I don't know if I'd be tuned into the game like I, would be now that it means so much.
Right.
Because if we win this game, that's the SEC championship right there. Season.
Well, you would think.
Season title, pretty much.
Yeah, well, they still have Florida, 2 games left. Which at
Florida and A&M.
Yeah, and Florida is going to be a tough game. I mean, look, we barely won that one overtime. And then home against Arkansas.
Okay. Well, I was hoping based on if I'd bet Bama Saturday or not. I was hoping that Tennessee would just drag Auburn and then we'd play a close game, which we kind of did. Well, we kind of caught fire there, in the second half or latter part of the first and most of the second. What's his name? Moss or Moses? What the freshman? He hit like 5 threes.
Oh yeah. Like
Darren or Davin.
Yeah.
Davin Moss, or kind of his first appearance where you're like, damn, who is this guy?
Right.
And I think he's out of Virginia. I actually looked at the Rivals ratings, and he was a 4-star, but didn't have, I think he's out of Virginia, didn't have offers from North Carolina or any of the big ACC schools, but had Auburn and maybe Louisville and some other guys looking at him. But man, I tell you, also Rylan Griffin.
Yeah, good game.
He had a.
It was Cosby.
Cosby, that's it.
Devin Cosby. I was like, when you said Moss, I was like, man, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, how I got Moss from Cosby. I have no idea.
Do you remember Bill Cosby? Did you watch the Cosby Show?
I did. Yeah.
Who would have ever thought that Bill Cosby would have ended up in jail? He's out now. Is he out now? I think he's out now, right?
I'm not sure.
I mean, when the Cosby Show used to come on, it was a big deal.
You know, he was all. We're going to start getting a little, I guess, philosophical here, but wasn't he the one that was all anti-cussing?
Yeah, he
Richard
was.
Pryor, couldn't stand Richard Pryor.
I love Richard Pryor.
Obsessed
Red Fox.
Obsessed with the clean it up stuff, which,
nothing wrong with that.
I
People
get it
say
to a certain degree, but
yeah, when I look at the comments, sometimes people direct that at you. Do you feel like Richard Pryor with Bill Cosby when you read the comment section? Sometimes you're like, shit.
No, maybe sometimes.
I don't know how. You got to talk how you talk,
Well, my thing is, if I wouldn't want kids that I don't know to hear me cuss,
right?
And,
you wouldn't have talked like that in front
example.
of Jimmy Carroll.
No, I would not.
That was it. Watching you in front of Jimmy Carroll.
Hey, man, it's a respect thing.
I know. I saw that.
It's like, my grandparents or my parents, my in-laws. I'm not.
That's when Bryant comes out. I saw Bryant that day. I didn't know this guy. I was like, oh.
But when I
said, hey, can I get you a drink? He's like, I'm good. I was like, all right, Bryant, I got this. Let me know when you want one. More for me.
But as you can see, when I'm around degenerates like on this podcast, I let things,
I'm going to pair him up with a guy that his wife's eventually going to say no. No more of this. I can't figure out why he likes going over there so much. It's a half-hour drive, and he's so Cosby.
No, but
he was bombing him away.
Yeah,
he was nestled in that near side corner. It was like, whoof.
Oh yeah, and they kept leaving him open too.
Yeah. They're like, don't worry about him.
Nate was just saving him for the end of the season.
Yeah. Well, it's at that point of the year now where guys like him have been practicing and they're playing.
Oh yeah,
they're waiting for the chance.
Get it now.
Yeah, right. I mean, and Reitzel's been hurt, and Mo got suspended, which he should have. You don't elbow people like that, know.
And man, I tell you, 55. What's his name? I'll screw up his name too.
Aaron Estrada.
Yeah, Estrada.
He's a good player.
He can handle the ball, and he's very aware out there.
Yeah.
I think he had a bunch of points off offensive rebounds last night. Just knows where to be, seems like.
Yeah.
And knows where guys are and understands, how to distribute the ball.
10 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 18 points, which makes that a
triple-double.
A pretty good day, huh?
Love it. But he's one of the biggest assets we have, and it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Where is he from? Is he a transfer portal guy?
I mean, they're all transfer portal guys. Hofstra? Yeah.
And he can handle the ball, can he?
Well, like when you watch the NCAA tournament, now it's basically like a tryout for bigger schools for these guys.
Yeah, that's right.
And you go in there and you're like, oh, okay, well, I got to show these guys I can play and then play,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, I agreed with it from the start. And what Coach Saban said, he's like, transfer portal is only going to help me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to see who the best players are on these weaker teams or, less privileged programs, and I'm just going to pick them off and take them all.
Yeah,
And
right.
you're going to get the guys that I don't want.
Yep. And we're going to get rid of the guys that can't play.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is something
or the guys
else,
that don't show up, don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, right. Do you think that's a big part of the guys that – how did Saban handle the people that didn't follow the rules when you were there? And do you remember – you don't have to say who it was, but do you remember guys that just for whatever reason couldn't get out of bed or couldn't show up or, couldn't make weight or, all that stuff, and he would just be irritated by?
Yeah, I mean, there was I think, the first year – it's a real effort to try to get these guys to change. And then after a while, I think it's try to make them leave and prove that you're going to want to stay here and commit.
Really?
I mean, obviously that's not said, but I think that's the feeling of not only the coaches, but the team as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because when you're out there working out and you got a guy that shows up late, that doesn't do what he's supposed to do, that's frustrating as a player too.
Right.
Watching a guy just make what you're doing somewhat of a joke.
Right. Who's the one that says something to him? Ryan Anderson type guys?
Yeah, I mean,
because I could see him being probably
yeah. Dylan Lee's,
when he became
Ryan Anderson's.
Yeah, right. By the time he became a leader on the team, it probably meant a lot to him.
Yeah,
just to help somebody, even though they don't realize they're being helped by him.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and
because even though he's tough, he cares a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he's one of those guys that I it seems like a lot of my best friends are this way. It takes a lot to earn their respect, and once you have it, they're as loyal as they could possibly be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And to me, those are guys that work hard. They have a mutual respect for people that work hard, and try to do the right thing. And that's what Ryan is, Dylan Lee, Ryan Kelly, all those guys that held that standard. They expect a lot out of people when you're going to stand next to them and try to achieve a goal they want to achieve. So, I mean, really, I think the coaches, again, they want the best out of the guys they recruited, but at some point, you got to prove you want to be there.
Yeah, right.
And
do you think Nate Oates is having that issue with this team? I mean, he keeps on talking about the defense, them not wanting to play defense, them not giving the effort that he wants. And then they go out and they score 100 points like it's not even.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even. I mean, like they shoot those threes. And it's so different than Alabama basketball back when I was in school. I remember coming in, I transferred from Maryland where they were like a basketball school, and the school always had good teams, and you had to camp out for tickets, and they beat Duke in North Carolina with Krzyzewski and Dean Smith, and it was a big deal.
Who was the head coach?
Gary Williams.
Great
coach, won a national championship, and scoring wasn't that hard. And then I came to Alabama, and I grew up watching those Terps teams, and I come to Alabama.
Yeah, Maryland was really good when I was in the 2000s.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I went to the national championship game and the Final Four. It was one of the greatest.
What happened? Because now you don't.
They got a new arena. They had an old arena that had a lot of character. It was old and it needed to be replaced, but it was like Coleman Coliseum to me doesn't have any character. I just don't get the vibe there. Cole Fieldhouse had this really cool character, kind of, even though it was generic, it was still, you were right on top of the action. Yeah, right. And it had a lot of great teams. Lefty Truesdell, who just died, was part of that. Len Bias. And you're talking about the Juan Dixon years, but what happened was Gary Williams won that championship, and then things just changed, like it just changed. Like you start dealing with a lot of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that he just wasn't going to buy into, from what I understand, and got out of it. I think part of it too is, the athletic directors and the people around the program make it to where you're not enjoying it anymore, is what I would guess. Or they think they know how to do it, kind of like when Alabama had Gene Stallings last year. Bob Bachroth came in, thought he could do it better, and he fucked it all up. There's another athletic director. I'm not going to say his name, but when he started going that way, the president of the university stepped in and said, "Hey, you can answer to me, Coach Saban. You don't have to answer to this guy." and he stuck around. Sometimes you think you're helping and you're not,
Yeah.
know? And so I feel like that's a part of it. But when I would come to Alabama, it's like, man, scoring 70 points used to be a big deal.
No, yeah.
These guys score 100. This team to me is dangerous, but they're not that good, But then I look at the record and I'm like, they're 3 games away from winning the SEC. Nate Oates has kept these guys together despite all these deficiencies. Now, the scoring is great, right? And you can beat anybody in the country if you can score. They're not going to play defense. They just can't. They're just not. It's not going to all of a sudden there's no switch that's coming on with this defense.
Well,
Dude, they win 2 out of the 3 games they got to play, including Saturday. They're going to win the SEC.
Yeah. Well, Chris Pringle, I mean, to me, he's the only guy out there where you watch him and you're like, that is a hard-nosed, not dirty player, but you know what I mean? A dirty mentality. He'll get after it, do whatever he's got to do to win. And I enjoy both of those guys. I know Grant Nelson's playing hard, but you don't have that guy like Quinterly last year who'd start a fight, who'd shove somebody, wasn't taking shit from anybody.
Yeah.
And was just that hard-nosed player who drove the mentality, the morale of the team. And I went to the Auburn, Alabama basketball game last year at home when we came back, and Quinterly, he shoved somebody out of bounds, fired the whole crowd up.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody fed off that. You're just looking for that guy with grit and just a passion that kind of creates the mentality or the identity of that team, which you just.
But you don't have anybody that you're like, okay, you don't have anybody that's locking down their best player.
Yeah.
And the inside.
It's like Auburn with Katie Johnson. I mean,
like the inside's like, it's wide open. Just run to the basket and score. You know what I mean? Like everybody's got an open shot against Alabama. Alabama's got open shots against you too.
Oh yeah.
Well, when we've played teams that D us up,
somebody goes for a layup, and even if Grant Nelson blocks it, like he's going to be on the ground, he's like, "Oh my hip, my hip," It's
like just what it is.
Just grab him and toss him out of bounds.
Yeah, right,
just,
right. It is what it is.
Need a mean guy.
But they went if they beat Tennessee, which I don't know if it's going to happen, because I'm going to tell you right now, I think Tennessee is the best team in the conference. With that said,
I do too.
With that said, it doesn't matter. You beat them on Saturday, and you split the next 2 games, and you at least have a share of the championship.
If we shoot 40, have one of those games where we shoot 40% from 3, then, I like our odds against anybody. It's just, you just never know which Alabama team's going to show up.
Well, I think they're going to score. I think they're going to be good. I think that Coleman's going to be rocking.
We got smoked.
There. Oh, I know. So, I know, but it's on the road. Look,
which is a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll be motivated, but we're on the road too. We stink. I mean, like against good teams, like we get blown out by Kentucky, get blown out by them. Lost the Auburn game, and I just don't see that happening. I mean, I think we're going to be like tickling the twine. You ever heard that thing? Bottom, a lot of bottom from Chris. I got a good feeling about it, but I can't wait. Like this is what it's about, man. Like actually, like
I was texting with some buddies yesterday or last night watching that game, and one of them's an Ole Miss grad, and he was like, I don't get too excited about games, but that Alabama Tennessee game, just because of the weight of it. I mean, it's like a championship type game,
right. The levity,
and it's game day.
Yeah.
I imagine the tents are going to start being set up tonight.
You think so?
Tickets. I mean, 2 nights before, yeah, probably.
I hope so. That'd be great, man. We used to have, when I was at Maryland, we used to have to camp out, and it sucked, to get in to see Duke, and I was only there for like a year, but I mean, like it was cool, like watching, going into that intensity, and then I came to Alabama, and I used to talk about this all the time with the late great Fluffopotamus.
I was literally about to say they need to dedicate this game to Fluff.
I told Fluff this all the time, and I would mess with Fluff because it took me a little while to like really buy in to Bama basketball, because I'd been
when
fooled.
You were in school, or like
no, with Nate Oates,
got here?
Because I've been fooled so many times by the Shea Cotton. confidence. Oh, here comes, and I'm not to
Yeah.
say he was a bad player, but I mean, like, I'm thinking, oh, this is like LeBron James,
Yeah.
and then,
Oh yeah.
it's like, I mean, I could sit here and probably name all 15 guys that you're like, oh, this is going to Rod Grisard, it's like, it's good, but we haven't had, and then all of a sudden Nate Oates shows up and it's like, wow, man, like this is a legit, these are,
Oh yeah. Well, last year's what cemented it for me.
yeah. I wish we had last year's season to do over, man.
Oh, I know.
That one hurt, and
I wish it hadn't been the off the court issues.
Oh, I know, man. I think everybody does in
you
so
know.
many different ways,
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many lives change and everything, and it's just not even worth getting into it because it's just such a bad. It's such a bad deal in so many different areas, man. It just is, and you hate anytime somebody dies. It's awful,
Yeah,
awful. I don't care what it is. Any,
Yeah.
and talking about in the world or here,
no
or
matter
whatever.
who's involved,
It doesn't matter.
It's just it puts a damper on everything.
Yeah, well, it changes somebody's life, but that was the best Alabama team I ever remember. But you know what? Every time one of my buddies used to say this all the time. He's like, he said, if you go back and you look at like Virginia lost in the first round.
Oh yeah.
And then they come back and win the national championship.
Mhm.
He's like, there's a lot of examples of that. Like Bryce Harper rolls out and goes to Philly and the Nationals win the World Series. Like, there's like that thing where for whatever reason, there's just some kind of like weird magic when it comes to you have that year where you should have done something and you didn't. And the next year you just catch some breaks and,
Oh yeah. I mean, there's always, the most talented teams don't always win.
No, they're not always the best teams.
Yeah.
That's right, man. And that's,
and shit, a lot of it has to do with compatibility between guys, just the mental toughness within that team, the leadership. I mean, it's like I always say, ever since Coach Saban's been here and somebody asked me about how I think the season's going to go, it's, well, we'll see how many leaders we got during the playoff,
Well, the other
because
thing,
we've got the talent.
Yeah, right. The other thing, though, too, is sometimes when you get into a one-game situation, I was part of this one time, incredible run I had on a team that wasn't very good, but we just got lucky. We're playing this other team, and they're hitting just monster bullets, but we're catching them.
Yeah.
And then we win, and it's like, they're like, how did we just lose to these guys? And the rest of the team's like, we just beat them. I'm like, I don't know how I'm thinking in my mind, I don't know how that just happened, but I'm watching crazy stuff, like a guy hits like a 115-mile-an-hour line drive, but it's right at somebody, just luck shit happens, man. It's the way sports are. It's why you got to play the game.
Oh yeah. No, that's right. Right.
We were probably playing a team that you would have been on. You would have been on the great team. And I was just on those, like that dirty team. Like, why are we playing these guys? You're already penciled into the next level, and every once in a while,
those are the worst teams to play.
And then we lose to the team that we should beat the next game. You know what I mean? You're like, what the fuck has just happened? They're going, thank God we don't have to play them.
Oh, yeah.
They give you enough respect just to beat you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the worst, playing a team full of ankle biters. I mean, just that dog that's always barking and biting your ankles.
I'm the type of player that, like, I've always just been intrigued by, like, not the science of the game, but just I always want to know what makes someone tick.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking to figure out what someone's weakness is. So, like in baseball, I played third. I'd call time, run to the mound, and be like, hey, do this, like pitch this guy this way. Like, this is what you should do, because I grew up a Cal Ripken fan, and he used to do that. And sometimes it would work, and then they're looking over at you like the next guy comes up
and you're just like,
no, you're like this. Like, you don't really know all of them. You just saw that one thing. Which kind of goes to something else I wanted to talk about today, but it's along the same lines. Nick Saban was, when it came to all the media stuff and access availability, I I criticized him, and you know this, is I didn't criticize him on a lot of things. The Tua game at Mississippi State, when my aunt got on to me pretty bad.
I was about to say,
And then also I was pretty pissed off that and I will say pissed off. I was pretty pissed off that the last few years at SEC Media Days that he didn't take the time to go talk to the local media. And I felt like and I mean that in a way that you need those guys when things don't happen, because the national media is going to turn on you in a second. They don't care about Alabama and they don't care about you. But the local people, the guys that do all these shows in these little towns, you give them 5 minutes of your time at SEC Media Day when a big portion of their budget's being spent to go there. I think it's a big deal. And I get it. I mean, he was kind of over that. He didn't do it. And so I didn't like that. You know, I love Nick Saban. Like, I still think he's the best thing that ever happened to Tuscaloosa. It's just a preference thing, I guess, or whatever. And he probably knew he was going to roll out, because he's doing national shows and now he's a national commentator, right? Yeah. Ironically, plus he was getting paid $1 million from Pat McAfee. So I get that part of it. But Kalen DeBoer has come in, and it's an absolute different culture now with the way that he looks at the media. He's doing local shows. Yesterday, he was they allowed the next round to do their show from the Malmore building, which was absolutely amazing. Both coordinators came on and spoke to those guys, as you know, and Kalen DeBoer. I love it. I love the fact that they're doing it. He's going to let the media come in and film part of football practice, which only happens in bowl games now, and I like that too. But the thing that worries me, and I'm leading all up to this, the thing that worries me is there's a reason why Nick Saban didn't want those guys in there filming, because you can pick up shit from practice. And the I never forget this, when Jimmy Johnson told Jim Kelly that they figured out in a Super Bowl from like watching 5 minutes of film from a practice on a TV that they were going to try to use a shovel pass, and they did it 3 times, and he forced a fumble and stuffed them on the other 2, and they win the game.
Did you just watch that documentary on Netflix?
I saw that, but I remember that game.
Yeah.
But that's why, and I'm like, okay, that's why Saban didn't want those guys in there, because he realizes that Jake Coker and Derrick Henry may be working on something, not even thinking, hey, the media is here. You guys are just over there effing around.
Yeah.
And somebody sees it and they're like, hey, man, have you ever seen Jake Coker and Derrick Henry like try a shovel pass before, a Utah shuffle? No. And you better keep an eye on that for the game on Saturday. That really happened.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I want to know your opinion on this.
No,
I just took up for Saban and made myself.
No, he
look
was
bad.
very secretive. I mean, you know, a lot of the injury stuff. I mean, you know, nobody knows about. I think the younger guys, and I'm not saying Kalen does this, but I do think it has become, media's become so big, especially in college football, that I mean, a lot of these younger guys are also using the media. I mean, when I was in college and I saw, you know, how the media communicates with fans, and realized that a lot of the messaging was a lot of the stuff the coaches were saying. And then,
do you think coaches would actually like text the people in the media and tip them off about certain things?
Yes, I know that they do.
That was a weighted question by me.
Yeah,
because we both know it's true.
I mean,
we both know that happens.
I'll say this. Look, I know that the national media has, you know, a lot of what they do is good stuff. A lot of it is to me garbage. I've seen things on game day that I've seen and heard. I mean, even almost like a practical joke. Sometimes I know a coach has said something to a guy on game day or whatever outlet it is, and then there's been a segment on it on one of these shows, and a lot of it's entirely bullshit, and you just cannot believe that they actually picked it up and ran it. And that's kind of, you know, at that time in my life, I looked at media in a way that I thought it was all real and true. And
right.
And that was my first dose of, wow, it's all manipulated. And anything that they say really is just from the perspective or a message of whatever a coach or AD or some personnel within a program wants to put out there.
Yeah, right.
Um,
What a different personality, though. Like, I mean, you talk about two really successful coaches. Saban's the greatest of all time. Who knows what's going to happen with DeBoer? I think people feel like if he wins a national championship, he may go to the NFL and coach there. You know, is he going to be around for 5 years? Is he going to be around for 10 years? Who knows what? I have no idea, right?
yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I could see him coming in and not winning, and I can see him coming in and killing it. But the tone is so much different. But you can have different tones and win. The winning doesn't always look the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks the same on the field, but it doesn't look the same as far as how you get there.
That's right. I mean, I think the most successful trait is somebody that, you know, is consistent and has everything under control. You know, obviously a lot of people fake that. But when players feel that their coach is confident and consistent, you know, that's the ultimate. I mean, it's like a job anywhere else. When your boss is consistent and you think he's making the right decisions, or at least doing the best he can and making decisions that you can understand why he would make for the best for everybody in the building.
Yeah.
You know, you can respect that and play hard and get on board with that message. How you do it, you know, I mean, Coach Saban might put a foot in your ass every now and then,
right?
And Coach DeBoer may just kind of pat you on the back and come speak to you. But as long as that main message gets across that, hey, you know, we're on the same page, we're consistent here, you know, everything's going to be done the right way, then I don't care how you convey that message, as long as I know that's going on.
Well, what'll happen is Saban will yell at you, you're getting kicked off, and DeBoer will be nice about opening the door for you. But if you don't get the job done, I think the result's going to be the same exact thing.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and Coach DeBoer talked about yesterday with the guys on the next round. He was like, you know, yeah, I don't cuss or whatever, but there's a fire there, and it's about doing things the right way, and we're going to keep doing it until we do it the right way. And of all the teams that have made the national championship game outside of TCU, I thought Washington was probably one of the weaker teams. But then when you watch the way they played, and you talked about it, if they make a few more plays,
so many missed opportunities.
Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities. The opportunities were there, but they just didn't take care of them. And it really goes to show how good of a coach he is.
Oh, I mean, he put them in position to be in that game. To me, with lesser talent, especially up front, found a way to put his guys in the best position to win. And I mean, it was like the whole night. And I don't know if you feel the same way I do, but the whole night you're sitting there watching, you're like, my God, if they just make this play on this certain drive, if they just make this play. I mean, you're talking big plays, 20, 30, 40 yards a clip that were just missed, and there was at least 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, and I was happy. I won some money, but I saw them too. Just worried about that cash money that I was getting. Now, who would have known they were going to end up? He was going to end up coming here.
I think when they announced he was coming, I couldn't believe it. You know, I mean, I'm thinking Dan Lanning the whole time, just because of the familiarity with Tuscaloosa and the coaching staff. I figured it would have been somebody that Coach Saban had talked to and fostered a relationship with, and kind of had that as a part of the plan. But I tell you, Greg Bird did a hell of a job. He did a hell of a job making that happen so quickly, especially with that caliber of a hire.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a great hire. I mean, honestly, I like Greg Byrne a lot, and he was on the next round show.
I saw that. Yeah,
I wanted them to ask him some tough questions. You he talked about the basketball arena, which I'm with them on the fact that the thing needs to be done. But I'm sure he's probably tired of talking about Eli Gold and Chris Stewart. I mean, that's something that I wouldn't.
He probably wouldn't even comment on that.
Right, but it's been funny to see. But then you might not get invited back.
I mean, honestly, that's another point right there. I mean,
you got to be kind of
these media outlets. I mean, you have to almost. It's like that story that came out about was it Adam Schefter, where he was texting whoever it was he was writing an article about. He's like, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" And have them proofread it before he put it out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be an insider, you can't put anything negative out about those guys, otherwise they'll shut you down.
Right. Or part of it too is like with that, it's like, man, I mean, I think that everything. What else can you say about it? Like you make a statement and you move on, and the fact that you make a statement makes more than a statement than even the statement that was put out.
Yeah,
basically saying that you're in big trouble and you ain't welcome back here anymore, which is the bottom line. But I thought it was great. It was just so different to see those guys there. I thought they did a great job. I loved watching, and it's not just because we're on Disrupt the Media, but I do watch those guys about every day.
So what are you saying? Disrupt the Media is becoming mainstream media?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I mean, because they've got to be the biggest show in the state. I mean, wouldn't you think?
As far as sports go, yeah. I
mean, really, like, yeah. I mean, I had one of my buddies that was on the show. He's like, man, he got a compliment from Dunaway, and it was like the greatest thing that ever happened to him. I was like,
I'm still hunting one of those.
You don't even get one.
Yeah.
He got one. And he was like, it really meant a lot to me. And, I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, to take the risk of walking away from the establishment and doing things their own way, and then kind of building this thing up. I'm so in favor of everything that they're doing, but I love how comfortable they are. The best part of the whole thing, and I did text LT and tell him I loved when he was messing with Kane Womack about why that Arkansas team wasn't better when they had Felix Jones and Derek McFadden, because I always wondered that too.
Yeah.
You go back, and he was in the backfield with those guys. That's one of the great. Like, how did they not? They beat Alabama's ass up and down the field in Tuscaloosa, and Alabama still won. It's unbelievable.
That was the first.
I was there.
That was the first big win for Coach Saban. Mm-hmm. I feel like
I was there, and I'm like, man. I mean, we would have lost that game under Shula or any of those other coaches, and it was like that game, and then there was an LSU game we lost. But they won the national championship, and we're just a thorn in their side, man.
Yeah.
It's like, God, we're coming,
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also remember the one where we were playing when Coach Saban was at LSU, and Arenas ran a punt back. And I was watching on TV, but I felt like that was the loudest I've ever heard that stadium when he returned that punt for a touchdown. Do you not remember that game? It had to be 0-1, maybe.
I probably was there.
You probably were.
I probably was there. We lost.
McAdill had a catch.
Did we win or we lose?
We lost.
Yeah, I was there.
But we played.
We came back at the end and we lost at the end. It was the first time we had lost there.
No, we were in Tuscaloosa.
Okay, no, I'm thinking about the one that when Saban beat us there as LSU's head coach. It was the first time we had lost in Baton Rouge since the 60s.
Was that Jamarcus Russell in overtime?
I don't think we lost in overtime. I think we lost in regulation.
There was a game I remember listening to Eli.
I was on that. I was there. That was a home game. That was a home game. Yeah. Okay. We lost to him. That was a Shula game.
I listened to that one on the radio. Yeah, that was.
We did everything we could to lose.
I mean, I remember. Yeah, I just remember that it was. Eli was announcing that game, and
was Snake still there?
Yeah,
those are great, man.
Jamarcus Russell threw a pass, and it just went dead silent.
Yeah,
and you knew what happened.
The worst one I ever went to. Have we ever talked about this before? The worst loss that I was ever a part of as a fan was when we lost to La Tech on the Hail Mary in Birmingham. I was there, and it was awful. and that team, and that was in '99. That team ended up winning the SEC. That was one of their losses. And it's like, we just didn't do the things that we were.
I'm thinking of 07 La Tech.
Was it? Maybe it was 07.
Well, we didn't win the SEC that year.
Then maybe it was 07. And then who did we lose to in 09? You're going to make me look this up. Maybe, but I was at both. I was at the game.
09, I thought we almost lost to Georgia Southern.
But it's not 09. It's 99. Going way back.
Southern Miss?
No. I'm going to look it up right now. But anyway, maybe it was 07. It was 97 that we lost to La Tech with Tim Rattay, but I thought it was 99. But it was, dude, it was like, it was like getting kicked in the stomach. It was like getting kicked in the stomach. Yeah, no, it was. I'm right. The game I'm talking about was September 18th, 1999 at Legion Field. Bama lost 29-28
to
La Tech. Yeah. And it was like, we were just one play away. All we had to do was knock a pass down. It was like somebody just took the air out of the place.
Oh, I'm sure.
Awful.
That's the worst. That's got to be the worst way to lose is on a Hail Mary.
And it was the backup quarterback. Like the other quarterback got hurt, and then he came in and just threw like.
And we won the SEC.
Yeah, we lost to Tennessee, and then we lost to Tom Brady in the bowl game. Beat Florida twice. But think about this though, and I don't know what Coach DeBoer is going to do in his time. After we lost to Louisiana Monroe, we never lost another game.
Yeah, it was Louisiana Monroe.
We never lost another game like that. We never lost another one of those games that you're supposed to win. We lost games.
Well, when Coach Saban was here, I don't know. I guess we lost to Ole Miss,
but they were good. We didn't lose to like non-ranked.
They eventually, I can't remember if they were ranked when we played them, but they were ranked. And I think they played in the Cotton Bowl or something.
Yeah, right. They lost like a game or two. Like they lost to like LSU and somebody else, Auburn or something. But I mean, like they weren't a bad team.
Yeah.
Like La Tech was okay, but I mean, like we should beat them. Saban didn't lose those games. We lost to teams that were good. Like, Michigan was a good team. They won the national championship. We lost to Texas. They were in the playoff, right? It's not like you lose games to like teams that suck, and you beat a lot of them too.
Yeah.
And what's Coach DeBoer's tenure going to look like? Are we going to lose those games now? Is he going to be able to be prepared week to week?
The problem with what he's got now is the schedules are going to be so much tougher.
Right.
Not only is he taking over with a depleted roster and just trying to fill in the gaps for now, but he's got the toughest schedule that Alabama may have ever had this year.
Yeah, I know. And a secondary that's like gutted. Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna have to do a lot to allow them to play fast and not think a whole lot. Brand new to, everybody's brand new to their system, so I guess everybody's kind of starting off on the same foot.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how John Parker did it playing for all the different OCs he played for. Shoot, I did it once, and that was, it took a little while, but playing, I think he played for at least 3. Applewhite, McElwain, and there was a third, and maybe a fourth in there. But he was there when Shula was there, so he definitely had 4.
Yeah.
That's insane. You think about it.
How about Applewhite's career, bringing him back to Alabama? 1 year at Alabama, off he went. Now he's the head coach at South Alabama. And how about the fact that these, now with NIL and everything else, guys that are head coaches at the smaller schools get a job being the coordinator at the big school. They're taking that job. Wasn't the goal always to be the head coach?
Well, nowadays the coordinators are getting paid as much as
so you think it's about the money?
Smaller schools, and then it's just a platform to get a big head coaching job.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a
I feel like you're not seeing, is I guess in 2015, I feel feel like that's kind of when it started, is the coordinators started getting head jobs from big schools.
Yeah.
And they just emulate what they had seen over the years, and that the system tended to work that way, has started to work that way in the, recent past. And so now that's the blueprint.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama was a little bit different because we were in such good shape that I think Kalen thought he'd come in with all this talent and not have as many guys leave. But at the same time, transfer portal just, again, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was just I got to the point. I'm just ready to watch the games. It's so exhausting following these guys that leave and show up. And I mean, I'm just ready to see the guys that want to play for Alabama, watch them play, and hopefully win.
Yeah.
But I'm just, again, I think I'm with everybody and just being tired of seeing this transfer portal stuff.
And it doesn't feel like any there's any rules coming, man. I mean, I don't know what
they have no answer.
I mean, I'd be, and the government's not helping out a lot, and it's probably going to take like a vote, like some kind of vote from Congress, or I mean, like a real like bill, instead of like because the NCAA
get the government involved and.
Well, I know, but I'm saying
make things worse.
Well, they're saying that Tommy Tuberville and Joe Manchin are like going to get together and come up with some kind of a bill. I have no confidence. I mean, it's not. I don't even know the last time they did anything right. So it's not like I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I've got my hand." Let's leave it up to them. But who knows, man. I got to throw a shout out. Last podcast we were here, and I started talking about the time that I got chased with the broom, and somebody hit me on social media, and they're like, I knew your mother-in-law. Dwayne, man, roll tide.
I've got a similar story.
No, she was great, man. I got to say, she was great. She was like a mom,
Yeah.
And the whole point was in any relationship, sometimes there just comes to, like your brother.
Oh, yeah.
You go get into a fight sometimes with family, but it's good to get it out.
You're not really close with somebody if you've never fought with them.
I was honestly like, after those things happen, it's always like I'm one of these people that you get the fight over with, and then I don't really care anymore. Like I'm able to move on.
Oh yeah.
Let's just get it said and let's move on from it.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
As long as all the cards are on the table, we're good.
Yeah, man. It's funny though, like because I feel like we're still growing this podcast, right? And what I love about it is it's so much different than anything else I do, because this is so much more reality than the other stuff where it's like you're coming on and you're talking about sports for 10 minutes. So you're really focused on like, hey, today so-and-so did this, da-da-da-da-da, hey, da-da-da, and you're off, right? We're in here hanging out, and this is how we really talk, and this is who we really are. Not to say that those other type of shows are great, but they're just not built for that, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of funny to get into that and think like we're in a small enough community where people will like, oh yeah, I know what he's talking about.
That's right.
So shout out there. Thank you for hanging out, and all you guys that are like kind of entering our world here,
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys being here and talking.
Yeah, thanks Disrupt Media for allowing us to just, do whatever the hell we want to do, really.
The funny thing is, I was talking about this the other day, like it's what I really like about Disrupt the Media is how they do allow you to kind of do things the way that you want to do them, like it's not like we get a list of instructions. The biggest thing that I want to ask our audience is just to help us grow the show.
Yeah.
Share it and and all that kind of stuff, because we definitely want to build it. We had it going until I took off for Key West, and and it's like trying to get it back to that point again. Yeah. I had a great week, but the internet was bad. I would have done the show if I had decent internet.
I always like it more when we do it in here, because I just, man, the Zoom calls, I hate them.
You hate them.
I hate them.
You're gonna have to get used to it because we're gonna take it.
I know.
But this is great though. You know.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's more. I don't even feel like a microphone's here, even though I'm pushing it around every 5 seconds. But
I told you I ordered a new one, so you're gonna have one of these boys coming up soon. This is a Electra Voice 20. These are Pat Hughes.
Did you say Len Casper's?
No. Pat Hughes told me, the Hall of Fame voice of the Cubs, told me that it'll make me sound ballsy. So
you definitely need some more balls.
I need some more ballsy. That you got Len Casper's microphone.
Okay.
So Len like that one.
I knew you said one of them.
Yeah, that's a great one too. Like they're both top end. Like these aren't the crappy ones, you know. Like these are both really sweet microphones.
Yeah.
But when we have company, you got a $20 crowd mic that I throw up there, and so that's why the stick mic had to get better.
I got
but
you.
I'll throw another boom on for you. And I mean, I didn't know how long this was going to last. I didn't even know if I should buy you another chair. I thought we were going to get fired. You broke the first chair. I'm like, well, it's going to be a bad investment. We get one more snake bite comment. Hey guys, we heard the story about the snake bite on the dick, and
we're out.
We love you guys. Jake, great team in 2015. Mick, you know, thanks for doing this for us, but sorry.
It's over.
Yeah, right. Every time. I tell you what's cool is when our guests come in, like they take it to, like, I feel like Jimmy Carroll thought that he was going on with Johnny Carson.
Yeah, he called me, or
Johnny Carson,
the morning before we did the show. He's like, "Do I need to wear a blazer?" I was like, Jimmy, watch the episode with Shank and Ryan Anderson, and you'll kind of realize what kind of shit show this is.
Yeah, right. Like now, think of hanging out at the golf course after drinking and playing 18 rounds. And then what you guys talk about.
That's right.
Kind of what the crowd that we're trying to attract here. No, man, it's been fun. Hopefully we got I'm concerned about the game on Saturday, but I'm glad it's at home basketball wise. You know, baseball's off to a good start. You know?
To me, basketball is the most it's the most upset happy sport because it's so crazy. If a team shows up and shoots well, I mean, they may look like, you know, the Boston Celtics, or they may look like, you know, St. Paul's right down the road. I mean, in the home court advantage, shooting on those goals every day with that background, you know, it's weird. And like in high school, you'd kind of, I say high school because that was
when you were doing it.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, you'd play in gyms if the wall wasn't a certain distance behind the goal, your depth perception was a little jacked up, and you know, made the goal look like it was closer or further away, and kind of, you know, mess you up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much shooting on a familiar goal helps you. And obviously, I mean, I'd like to know what the percentage, or 3-point percentage, is at home versus away. I bet you it is way higher at home than it is away. I'm sure that is the same for every school around the country.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm sure teams, you know, do better on the road at home than they do on the road, you know.
I wonder how often. I mean, do you know if we practice in Coleman every day?
I'm sure. I don't know.
Do we practice in a
there's like a practice gym in Coleman.
Yeah,
but then they do some work in Coleman. I don't know. I've been critical. I don't know why they moved women's basketball from Foster Auditorium to Coleman Coliseum. You know, I mean, why not just swing your big game that you have every 5 years into Coleman and just play in front of, you know, a gym that fits? And maybe they go over there and practice, but the men's team maybe sometimes. But I'm guessing that they find a time during the day to practice at Coleman Coliseum. And Greg Byrne he sounded
if I'm the coach, I'm wanting to shoot on those goals every shot.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I would too. And Greg Byrne seemed to think that a new building it just sounded like something is brewing, you know, and I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. But if
Well, I thought they had the
had it-
project all set up, and then all the inflation, the building prices, you know, skyrocketed,
Mhm.
and now it threw everything off, and you know, they've had to reevaluate, raise more money,
Yeah.
and figure it out. You know, I mean, I thought they were going to break ground, you know, pretty soon, a year or two ago. But it's like you've been preaching.
You're going to lose him.
You better keep him around.
You're going to
do
lose
whatever
him.
he wants.
I'm telling you right now. They can talk about the money and how much it's going to cost, and you know, and the issues with it, but if they don't figure out a way to build that new arena for him, he's going to leave. And and this could be the year, because he's from Michigan, right? And like Michigan's going to have their job's going to be open. Louisville's going to be open. There's some big jobs that are going to be open. And if you're him, you got to say, hey man, if I want to win national championships, is playing in Coleman Coliseum and at Alabama going to be where I can do it? Or do I go somewhere where they're totally dedicated to basketball? And I don't want that to happen. You know, I want us to make it to where he just doesn't want to go. Like where we give him everything that he needs, that we, instead of coming up with excuses on why we're not going to do something, we get it done, you know, and there's always excuses, and I get it. I mean, things are expensive, and, you know, but you got to figure it out. You're the University of Alabama, and you got a coach right now that is the best. He's the best coach in the SEC, and I have a lot of respect for Bruce Pearl. I like Bruce Pearl a lot. I put him in that ilk. Those two have they've levitated above John Calipari.
Yeah.
You think about
they've
that.
made Alabama. I mean, you think about the state of Alabama basketball between Alabama and Auburn. I mean, now in terms, how many? Maybe, I mean, North Carolina is always going to have North Carolina and Duke,
right?
And possibly Wake Forest.
Should be Kentucky and Louisville, but it's not.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, Tennessee used to have Vanderbilt. Used to be good. Now they're awful.
You're saying like rivalry wise.
Well,
Duke
no,
and North Carolina.
I'm saying like just two teams in the same
right.
state.
Duke and North Carolina.
I mean, they'll always be king, obviously.
Right.
But when you think of a state that has better basketball, and Florida was always with Florida and Florida State when I was in college. Well, Florida wasn't very good when I was in college. But as of right now, outside of North Carolina, Alabama may have the best two teams in the same state of any other state in the country.
I heard the guys on the next round the other day talking about the last time that Alabama stormed the court, that they thought it was the 2002 game where Petway laid the ball up to win the SEC. Do you remember that game?
I remember Petway, obviously.
The red shoes, right?
Yep.
So I've got to admit something. I think I started that. I'm not even shitting you. So here's
Mick,
the deal.
we're better than that.
Well, I know. I didn't know that. I'm a basketball fan. I transfer from Maryland to Alabama, become a big Alabama guy. I mean, this is a long time ago now.
Who did we beat?
We beat Florida, but it won the SEC, and it was the first SEC championship since Wimp.
Yeah,
and so I'm courtside. I had the
when was Wimp's last year at Alabama?
Early 90s or late 80s. Sometimes it was a long time. And I think that's the only championship Godfrey won, SEC. But I'm courtside because I had the WVUA radio passes, because we didn't broadcast the game, but we had like pretty much courtside seats. And
is that the year we went to the Elite Eight?
No, but it was the same team. It was a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
So that was 2004. This was 2002.
Yeah.
And one guy that was actually there with me is a guy named Pat Shuck, who is the producer for whatever the college football show is on XM. He was in my wedding. Is one of my best men in my wedding. He was there. My other best friend, the two best men in my wedding were there. I'd let him. Shows you how responsible I was. I used the WVUA passes for my friends. And both Alabama fans, we're on there, and then Petway lays it up, and the next thing I know, we're in the middle of the court. So I don't know if we started
you
it.
blacked out.
I did. So what really what the crazy thing about it was, okay, two things. First off, I have chased the Daniel Moore print of that picture. Daniel Moore did a picture.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard print to get, but I got it. I got it, and it's coming. And I think I'm going to put it up right there. It's Petway landing up. And
Is that the one you traded?
Yeah, trade it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been really excited about this because I told you I'm putting it right there. But part of it's because we ran out on the court.
Yeah.
And the other part is that it's one of the most rare Daniel Moore prints because when he did them, you had to buy it. So he only did as many as people bought ahead of time.
Yeah.
And it's a great print, and it's the only basketball print he ever did. Hopefully we'll get to the Final Four one day and do that. But yeah, I mean, it was like an amazing moment. And we were like on the court, and then I hear these guys talking about it. Like I think it was like Dunaway, Brown, and LT, and they're like, that may be the last time. And if that's the last time, I might have been part of the reason why that happened. I can't remember if I was
historical Alabama basketball moment.
But you have to storm the court, but not storm the court like they did at Wake Forest, where you run into the other team.
Yeah.
See, I think that what's different now than back then is that we didn't mess with the other team. We just ran over and celebrated with our guys.
More respect back then.
Yeah, it's like these kids now, they purposely run over.
Oh yeah,
just to try to harass the guys on the other team. We would have never done that.
Oh yeah. I was only a part of one storming incident. That was Ole Miss in 2014. And yeah, you could. I mean, I used to love watching it, but after that, I was like, shit, man, I could see how this could go sideways, because when kids your age, when you're 18 to 22, and all these drunk kids jump down and they're talking trash, getting in your face. I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, right.
I mean, again, if they just ran around you and didn't say anything, let you clear the way for you.
Well, that's how it used to be.
But you got to, I mean, the players are pissed, and then you've got some loudmouth, college kid that's been drinking all day.
Right. In your face, running into you on purpose. You saw like the way that the Wake Forest kids acted with North Carolina, and I'd be pissed too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I when I heard those guys say that, I was like, oh man, like, was I part of like the only time that Alabama stormed the court? I feel like we did another basketball storm the court recently under Oates.
It's just weird because now it seems like
it's not football. We haven't won all the games in basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're trying to do.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah. So don't before you start blaming me.
I know what you're trying to do.
It's not like in basketball we won championships back in the 20s. We haven't drowned the Yellow Jackets in basketball a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The furthest we got was the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
So we can have fun with that kind of a win.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's basketball.
If I was,
I feel like there was another one in there though, but maybe I'm wrong. If that's the last one, I don't
ever remember Alabama storming a field, a court.
We had pictures of us in the middle of the court with everybody around us. And we took them with these. You're probably never seen these before, but we used to have these disposable cameras.
Oh yeah, no,
you remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, before like you had all that here. Think about all the things.
I'm still
that this does. Well, my son doesn't know about that.
How old are you again? How old are you?
You tell me. You tell me. See how close you are.
No, I'm not doing that.
I'm a good 12 years older than you.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean,
but it was a big difference though because
cell phones didn't come out till I was shoot. I mean, you didn't have the Apple. You didn't have the iPhone until I was sophomore in high school.
When this came out in what 2008, whatever, life changer.
Yeah, something like that.
But I mean, when this came out, because
08, that was when I was sophomore in high school.
When this came out, everything changed.
Yeah.
Now the disposable cameras are like, fuck, we're out of business.
Yeah.
I can literally do everything broadcast wise.
You got an ad reader?
Yeah. Broadcast wise, you can do everything that you do.
I've got shows on my phone.
Right, and it looks fine.
Yeah.
These things are absolutely amazing. And, and the technology is crazy. Guys, thanks for hanging out with us on the Elephant in the Room podcast with Jay Coker. I'm Mick Gillispie. I want to tell you guys this, that as you check out MyBookie, mybookie.ag, you can go there right now, use the promo code next round and get up to $1,000, 50% off $1,000 price match when you make your initial wager. And as you do that, whether it's parlays or you're picking basketball, baseball, college basketball, as we head towards tournament time and all that stuff, look to my friend Lance Taylor at lanceslock.com. And a lot of big news coming with Lance's Lock, but lanceslock.com getting you all the information and helping you turn the corner when it comes to making informed wagers. We appreciate Lance's Lock for being a very good partner on our show. Jake, as you walk back in from your visit, I'm going to make the same trip, however you want to say it. But let me throw this out there for you. Just talking about like technology.
When you want to get started on this rant?
Well, you can, but I want to know what you thought. How did technology change the way that you prepared for football games? Because I'm sure that you were kind of towards the end of, where they would watch video on like a VCR to like being able to watch video on an iPad, right?
Yeah. Heck, I've actually, we can pick up on this when you get back. You can hear everything I say, right?
Not today.
Not today?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just repeat it when you get back.
Yeah.
Now you talk to, I've talked to Scott Hunter about this before. We had this program called Exos when I was in college. And, you just had a remote, you could put cut-ups together of one single play, see different coverages, see different looks, figure out how to identify the mic based on which looks you saw, and really dial into one single play versus a number of looks in the span of 10 minutes. Whereas, and speaking to Scott about this, they used to watch film on a reel and they'd have, one single game on a reel and he'd have to sit there and just watch the entire game, not be able to really rewind, not be able to fast forward. They call them cut-ups now, which is, again, it could be a run play where you're, helping to identify the mic or show different looks. Is the run good versus this look? Do we need to switch run zone to the opposite side? But you had one specific play that you could dial into. I'm talking about.
I'm listening. I heard you the whole time. Yeah.
And you had the iPad you could take home and watch film at home. Mm-hmm. And they had it all dissected by play, by formation, by personnel. And you key in all these different components of plays, and then you see what the team you're playing does whenever those looks, those personnels, those formations show up. And so shit, man, it saved so much time and effort just being able to do that rather than throwing in a VCR or watching a tape reel of a game and just having to sit through that or change in and out the VCR. I can't even imagine back then.
They would trade tapes. Like they would have to go meet somewhere in high school football and like trade a tape. Like here's ours and here's yours.
I saw that that documentary, that small little documentary, hour and a half long, of Coach Saban and Bill Belichick.
Oh yeah,
and they talk about how they used to have to put cut-ups on a reel. And they literally have to like cut the tape that tape to another tape so that you'd have the same play. And it took like hours and hours just to get one cut up of what they wanted on one certain reel.
Dude, I'll tell you this, man. When I used to broadcast county high football, Nick Saban comes to town and he's like, we're not giving out a depth chart, right? So then all the high school coaches are like, we're not giving out a depth chart. So now you're effed, man. Like, you're trying to do the game and they won't give you the depth chart. You can't even get the roster.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy how the coach at Alabama really influences all the high school coaches. So I'm wondering now if Coach DeBoer's there, everybody's like, all right, you can come watch practice now. You know,
Yeah.
I give you the depth chart. We got a depth chart.
Like we were talking earlier, he's so secretive. He doesn't want anybody to know anything, and he's good enough where he can do whatever he wants.
Right. And I get it, man.
He doesn't need any more attention on Alabama.
No,
Alabama was, if you're talking college football, Coach Saban's Alabama, you're talking about Alabama.
He doesn't want to lose a game because of something that they could have prevented just by why worry about it when you don't have to?
Yeah.
Right. But
what he should have done is invite the media in and practice a shovel pass,
and then
while
not
the
use it.
watching and do something completely different.
How about not letting the assistant
or show a reverse pass and just fake the reverse and run that thing to the house?
When I was a student at Alabama doing student media, I used to interview the defensive coordinator every week. He talked like this. He's a great, really good guy. I ran into him.
Joe Kynes?
Yeah. No, it wasn't Joe Kynes. It was another guy like him. And I met him again at Carson Newman. I forgot. I wish I could remember the guy.
I get one more. I'm done.
You're out of those.
Oh, yeah.
But I got ice in here. And some Maestro. I got
anything light?
Blue Moon.
I guess I'll go with one of those. Maybe a half one.
All right. Let's see. Now I got to figure out who. What year would that have been? 2002.
I'm out of these. I only brought 2, by the way, guys. It's not like I brought a case.
I know. You're like, hey. I hate when this happens, but.
Joke.
Oh, yeah, Carl Torbush. Great guy. Yeah, great guy. But I interviewed him. He would do my Alabama University football show every week.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And then I ran into him. He was at Carson Newman.
When you started, were you all nervous every time you interviewed somebody, no matter who they were?
Hell yeah. Yeah. Like, you're always like, man, I don't know what I'm going to want to say, because it is tough.
Oh yeah.
And everybody except Anthony Grant has been nice to me.
Anthony Grant really?
Was a complete dick, man. I mean, honestly, he was so awful that I always kind of keep that in the back of my mind that you may run into someone like that again, because I'm genuinely a pretty nice person.
Yeah.
And if I make a mistake or if you make a mistake or whatever, I mean, I just laugh about it and move on. I make the most out of it. It's like he was terrible. And I don't cheer for him at all. I don't cheer for him. Did I hold a grudge?
Now it kind of makes sense.
But he was the worst I ever had. I'd never dealt with anybody like him before.
Yeah.
I think with Coach Saban is like Coach Saban was always intense, but it was never personal.
Yeah.
And it was always more like he's just so focused on what he's doing.
Yeah.
That it's like he seemed like he was always afraid that something that he said in one of these press conferences was going to be misconstrued and cause him issues outside of work.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment? And as you say that, I'm gonna pour you a beer.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if he thought about how it would cause issues outside of work. I think it was more so he'd get frustrated with people who didn't think the same way he did, not in terms of like execution or how to problem solve, but more so getting the job done and having the work ethic and thought process that he had. And that
right.
was,
or understanding why you do something.
Yeah, that's right. Or focusing on the task at hand and how to best achieve that. somebody that does. So, for instance, when do you plan on getting the second team in against Georgia Southern this weekend? I mean, that was an all-time rant where he's, just or whoever it was, and then he starts talking about Georgia Southern. He's like, "How do you even know we're going to get the second string guys in?"
Right.
Like that doesn't even cross his mind. It just drives him crazy that people even think that way.
Right. Because if you're thinking that way, then you go into a game
You're
against
coming in not respecting your opponent.
Right. Which has always been something big for him.
Right things.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not thinking about, okay, here's the game plan. This is how I execute it. You're thinking, man, what's the quickest way I'm going to get out of here?
Yeah, right.
Kind of like that story I tell about me and Ryan Kelly. Hey, man, you think we'll be out before the first half's over?
Sure, he loved that.
No, I didn't. We weren't going to say that in front of him.
Hey, Coach, Ryan wants to go fishing. You just blame that on somebody else. Oh man, I'm gonna miss him though. Like I already do. It's hard to believe that like he's really gone. Like, even they're like Coach Womack's like, yeah, I get a chance to like he's learning the way that we call plays so that our language, so he can come in and like tell us stuff. And it's like, man, you guys, the sad part about it is nobody in the building knows football like he does.
Yeah. Well, nobody. I don't know if there'll ever be anybody that cares that much about their job and not the money, but the actual performance that he puts out there.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man. I've talked about this before with
because he would have done. He
didn't care about anything but just the satisfaction of being the best.
Yeah, that's right.
And how do you do that? He doesn't now. I mean, I see him golfing everywhere and he's joking around.
Yeah.
It's a different cat now.
Well,
and he deserves it. Man.
Well, he looks like it.
He deserves it.
But at the same time, I think when college football starts next year, I think he's going to be, in his seat, just rocking away, antsy as hell. Just when he watches us next year from wherever he watches the games, he is going to be hard to deal with.
What do you think the chances are? I had a guy tell me, he's not an Alabama fan. He's a Tennessee fan, but he said, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. That Coach Saban is going to watch. Coach DeBoer is not going to do well, and Coach Saban is going to get tired of sitting around, and he's going to come back and take over the program. No chance, huh?
No chance that's happening.
He's just too old, right?
Yeah. I mean,
to start over again.
Well, he's too old. I mean, he's just past that point. Like,
yeah.
And he couldn't do that at Alabama. I mean, he couldn't come back at Alabama after that. I don't feel like I just. What, you going to hire him for 2 years? It'd just be a nightmare.
Yeah, right.
But doing something in the NFL as an analyst or
oh yeah, or even being an analyst here. You don't think so?
I think he's going to do what he does in Tuscaloosa right now. But if he wants to be more involved, he's going to have to find a job somewhere else.
Yeah. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for Kalen DeBoer to be like the guy? Winning?
Well, yeah. I mean,
championship.
I think he's going to have to be in that SEC championship in the next 3 years.
I'm tell you what, man, that Georgia game.
He wins one big game this year. That's going to be pretty big.
If Georgia comes to Tuscaloosa and lays a whooping on Alabama, I don't know how. I just don't know how our fan base is going to react to that.
Yeah, if it's a total whipping, that's going to be tough. But again, it's his first year. I mean, I can't say I wouldn't be surprised.
Shank made.
I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be upset.
Right. Shank made Alabama.
I was about to bring that up.
Shank made Alabama news, and no radio hosts that used to play at Alabama said anything bad about his comment. He said that if he basically was responding to someone that was like, that Alabama fans are going to freak out if Alabama lost a game or two. And he was like, look, if they went 8-4 and made a bowl game and won, that would be a good season. Something to that effect.
8. There's a weird number between 8 and 9. I feel like 8's pretty.
That's too low.
Yeah, I feel
Would
like.
you tell him that if he was here?
Oh yeah. Without a doubt.
Okay, just making sure.
No,
I'm with you, man.
I mean, 8,
9 and 3 would have probably been a little bit better because 8 and 4 starts to feel a lot like Ole Miss.
Yeah, 8 and 4s. That's
Auburn.
Yeah.
We're more of a 2 loss.
9. When you get to 9 wins, that's where you get respectable. 8's like that's a throwaway year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, have fun in the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah.
I
mean, if he goes 8 and 4, I mean, this next year.
But this is Shank the coach now. You're talking about Shank the coach. Like, he's out there working with kids every day. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? Like, when you do it, it's all of a sudden, it's like, man, and it becomes a lot harder. Than us sitting in here.
You respect it a lot more.
Yeah, right. Us sitting in here going, all right, you should win 10 at least. Forget about it. I know you got to play Georgia. I know you got to play at Oklahoma. Come back and play Auburn.
Well, that's another thing too. I mean,
Wisconsin.
I know we've been over the schedule. We did a whole show on the schedule.
Great show, by the way.
Yeah, but Alabama's still Alabama.
That's right.
And I've told this story on this podcast before, but I mean, when you're at Alabama and especially when I was there and Coach Saban's the head coach, I'll never forget that day or the national championship. Threw a ball over Calvin's head, and I got to the sideline and get done meeting with Lane, and we get done, and I'm on the sideline I go take a knee, and I'm just sitting there thinking, and I'm just like, you lose this game, and at the time, Coach Saban never lost the national championship. I was like, you're going to be the guy that you're going to be the only quarterback to lose the national championship with Coach Saban if you, don't man up and, stop playing soft. Just go out there and play. And if you do lose, then at least you weren't overthinking things. You just threw it and played. And, things started clicking and it's like a long third down pass. I mean, had I not had that little conversation with myself, there's no way I'm just seeing that pressure, taking 3 steps and chucking it up there, because it was a gamble. I mean, the last time I did that was an interception to lose the game against Ole Miss.
You ever text Jalen Hurts and go, man, hate that for you? Because it was the next year.
I know that hurts.
It does.
I know that hurts, man.
The guy, you know what? I love him as a guy in the NFL, and I still consider him an Alabama quarterback. And him losing the Super Bowl, it wasn't his fault. I thought it was more coaching than it was, him. It was something that he did wrong. It's so hard to win those championship games. Being serious. And I was joking a little bit, but getting there is tough, and winning's even tougher.
Yeah, I mean,
and he didn't lose the game. It was lost. That game was lost because the officials, and look, I don't talk about the officials a lot. The Tennessee game a couple of years ago, I think it was fixed. It wouldn't surprise me. And that game, not calling the pick at the end of the game, they should have made them win it legitimately. They should have got a 15-yard penalty, kicked a field goal, gone into overtime, and saw what happened.
Yeah.
Because it was a pick play.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's when I know the pick play has been used for years, and that was never an issue really until the Notre Dame Florida State game. That was the first time I'd ever seen it really called, and it become do you remember that? I think it was 2014 when it happened. Notre Dame played Florida State at Florida State.
Yeah.
Notre Dame runs a pick play, they score, and they throw a flag for it. And that was the first time I had really seen. It's the first time I remember seeing a pick play called, because, I mean, that was always taught when I was growing up. I mean, you could get away with whatever you wanted on a pick play for the most part. And then all of a sudden, I guess, referees got together and said, we're going to start calling this. And that's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
opposing coaches start pointing it out and getting more and more serious about it, and then they start calling it. And I guarantee you there was a defense. It might have been, I think Coach Kelly was the DC at Florida State. I guarantee you he was like, we're playing man. They're gonna run this play. There's gonna be a pick. Watch this DB because because they're gonna pick right here. And I'm sure that's how it all started. I mean, it was a pick play, but do I think it was?
You wouldn't have called it.
I mean, there's so much gray in that call.
Right.
It's tough to.
I hate losing like that.
But I'm also a quarterback. I love pick plays.
Yeah, right. It was open. I've got to tell you, Birmingham Stallions. And I know I hear from some of you guys on socials, including Damien. You guys keep me updated on what the Stallions are doing. Slade Bolden, Deontay Brown, and Bo Scarborough are playing for the Stallions. Reuben Foster's playing for the Houston team. Pretty cool, man. I mean, like
I need to go set up a show in Houston and Birmingham
get
those guys.
Your guys, man. Yeah, it would be.
Reuben, man, he's something else.
Is he?
Oh man, he's something else. I used to ride in the back of the bus with Reuben a pretty good bit, and man, he's got some stories. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. He's one of those guys that really loves playing, loves the guys, loves just playing hard-nosed guy. Just if you share a locker room with him, you love him.
We should go up there.
That's just the way it goes.
We should go up there. I'd love to go see the Stallions, and have those guys come hang out with us. When are you going to go play for the Stallions?
Look, I love those guys, and I hope they're having fun.
Could you do it? I mean, how long would it take you to get ready?
I've been working out pretty hard lately. I'm a little over 240 right now. I played at 245. The weight was, in different places back then, but I can take about 3 months. I think I'd be okay.
Yeah.
I can still throw it around a little bit. But
you ever do that?
No. I like.
When's the last time you picked up a football?
I'm doing and doing podcasts.
Yeah. But when's the last time you took a football and went outside and threw it?
I throw it every now and then now because I hate running so much that I'll go work out at QB Country.
Oh, do
David Morris over there.
I got to go check that place out.
He's working out Drake May and Bo Nix.
Oh, cool. Is Bo a South Alabama guy?
No,
I thought he's from Birmingham,
North Alabama somewhere.
Yeah. But he lives down here. He's just working out.
No, he's just working out he's at the combine right now. But he.
Do you ever go in there and get like, hey, I used to be able to throw this thing over a mountain back then.
It's right by the interstate. So I tell him, and every now and then I'll throw it over that overpass when I feel like
just it. Like when you. Now I got to tell you, man, I do like Bo Nix. I don't know him, but I he's at Auburn. He would come on the next round.
Yeah.
And I've said this to you before. I mean, I probably said it on
He's a good guy.
These guys, they give these NILs out. And my opinion's changed a little bit over the last year because the NIL people that have come on the show have done so much better. Milroe did a good job this year. Booker did a good job this year. Arnold was perfect for it. But before it would be like they'd have people on and then you're like, God, get this guy off the air. He's not saying anything. He's just like, it wasn't entertaining. And then Bo Nix, and I was like, God, this guy, he's really entertaining. Like he is going to tell you what he thinks, and they were always good segments.
Yeah. No, he's a sharp guy. I mean, I had a few conversations with him. You can tell he's a quarterback. He's a leader. He's one of the perfect examples of what. And I always say this: the quarterback position is. It's your chemistry with your coach, how well they can coach you to get the most out of you on the field, and B, the system you're in to make you successful. I mean, that because all these Division I quarterbacks have talent. I mean, they all do. They're all talented guys, can all make plays, and all have the potential. I mean, there's some obviously that probably, you know, had a lot of hype around them and got scholarships, but for the most part, all these guys are really talented and can win a lot of games in college. It's just, you know, how good are your coaches? How good can they communicate, and what can they put you in good positions to win?
Yeah.
And I mean, God, when he was at Auburn, he took a beating. You know, on and off the field, the fan base was terrible to him, in my opinion. And then he goes to Oregon, and he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. You know, it just shows you again what the circumstances. And I think he played his ass off at Auburn, but
yeah,
a lot of playing quarterback is circumstantial. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, right. Being a good offensive line, good coaches, guys that can catch the ball.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes on outside of just, you know, a pitcher. And this is my outlook. I've never played baseball at a higher level, but when you pitch, it's you and the catcher, and you're putting it in a spot, and it's all on you.
Yeah, right.
To strike that guy out. There's not all these moving parts, you know, where, I mean, we've talked about it before, and I've always, pitchers to me are a different breed. They're usually some wild guys a lot of times, or they're really nerdy. They understand pitching really well. Talk about Greg Maddux. I mean, just nerds of the game, or just somebody who's just flat out insane.
He's insane.
Just aggressive. You know, they don't have to get along with everybody. They don't have to do, you know, I mean, they don't have to manage chemistry with the team. Playing quarterback is so much different from so many different aspects. There's a lot of factors that play into how you do on the field,
right?
And again, Bo Nix changes scenery, and all of a sudden he's a Heisman candidate. The talent was there the whole time. He just didn't have the right fit at all.
Right.
And you see NFL guys that don't make it, then they end up on different teams and do really well. I mean, it's all about the fit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. So much of football's rhythm too, you know, like it's like you watch a team and when they're not doing well, they don't have that rhythm, and then
it's crazy what one big play can do for a football team.
Yeah, it
is.
You
know, you play a game and we played Arkansas my senior year. The first half was like, man, no matter what we did, it was like self-inflicted wounds,
right.
or they'd call the perfect play against what we were running. You know, we get first drive, we're down in the red zone, we kick a field goal, and it's like, damn, you know, that first drive was so easy, and then we get down there and we can't score, and then it leads on to more and more and more mishaps until finally we hit a deep ball to Calvin, you know, everything, and then from then on it was like, you know, just a snowball effect.
Yeah, right.
Play Tennessee, almost lose to them, but you know, we got a minute and a half left, and everybody's kind of like, all right, it's time to lock in. We have a really good drive, score a touchdown. We should have been doing that the whole game.
Yeah.
It took us, you know.
Is that the greatest drive of your career?
No, I'd probably say Iron Bowl my senior year. Just because I know, I mean,
but you weren't down at the end of the game though, or you know,
but it was like 12-7, and like we had to score before we got into dangerous upset territory.
When was that though? I mean, I remember it was like 55-44 or something.
No, it was 28-7, I think, or 29 to. No, it was 29-14, I think.
Was it there?
Yeah.
So, but this is still the game where Derek. Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the year before that. Maybe I'm not.
No, the year before that we won like Auburn was ranked ahead of us when we played them in 2014. And we ended up beating them like 45-35 or something
Maybe
like that.
that's it. That's the one I'm thinking of. So was yours in Tuscaloosa?
No, it was at Auburn.
Man, I know I was there.
It's a game. I mean, we started
Derrick
off the
Henry
game.
ran over him, though, right? Or was that the year before?
We had a hard time on offense.
Did you?
And yeah, I mean, we had a couple good drives. Well, we drive down the field, and then Adam, I think, made 4 field goals in the first half.
Really?
And then I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, probably Auburn or Michigan State. We blew them out.
Yeah.
But
I've been to so many of them. Jeez, I hate to say that, but they're always tough down there.
They're always tough in Auburn.
Yeah.
Jordan Air is just a different animal.
Well, that 2 good ones, because the Tennessee one
I saw Jason Smith. I don't know if you remember Jason. He played quarterback at Auburn.
Yeah.
And then switched to receiver. He went to McGill here in Mobile. And I walked up to him and I was talking to him about him and one of the coaches at quarterback country. And I was like, this SOB, I was like, we have the drive that I'm talking about, and we go up, I think, something like 19-6 or something like that. And we're all thinking, all right, we're going to cruise in and beat Auburn by, 21, and it's all going to be over. And then Jeremy Johnson gets a snap and throws it up over the middle, and I see Geno Smith just about to decleat Jason. And Jason reaches up and tips this ball up in the air. And I'm watching, I'm like, no way. And this ball goes up in the air, and he runs right underneath it and catches it again, takes off towards the end zone, and they score. And me and Kenyon Drake are sitting next to each other. We're just looking at each other like, you've got to be kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, only in Auburn,
That's the Auburn Jesus stuff that we
Oh, yeah. Just the voodoo in that building.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Like I think about Kalen DeBoer. And I just wonder, like, what's the Iron Bowl going to be like for him? What's the season going to be like for him? Like, what's obviously he's answering recruiting, because they're doing fine in recruiting.
Yeah, they're going to be fine there. As long as they keep getting the local guys.
I know we've talked about it. I've been very, 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 very on my channel, very, very vocal about that. But then, you know what? I thought it was a good move when they went out and brought Christian Robinson in as one of the coaches that, I guess linebackers coach. But when they had that spot open, they brought in another guy. It's just like his 6th SEC school.
Yeah.
And he gets it, he has to. You wouldn't have played and coached at 6 places in the conference and not know how important getting Alabama players is.
Yeah. And how it works down here recruiting.
Yeah, right. When you piss off the head coaches and you're done.
Yeah.
Brian Harsin ruined his tenure as Auburn's coach by pissing off the local head coaches.
He ruined his opportunity to coach anywhere in the Southeast after that.
Yep. You take care of them. You live by your word. If somebody's got a scholarship, give the scholarship to them. Don't piss these guys off, man. They're like a fraternity, and there's a lot of really good head coaches and coaches in high school football. Yeah. But they're loyal to those kids. They love the kids, man. I mean, I've spent time in high school football. You've spent time around it. Those coaches, they love the players that come through there, and they just want to see the best for them. That's all.
My head coach in high school, his name was Jimmy Perry, and he's coaching up in Montgomery now, but he coached at Auburn and retired, and then eventually took the St. Paul's job, and just a great coach, great guy. But he always used to tell me, he's like, when you pick a school, you need to pick it based on, if it weren't for football, where would you go?
Yeah, right.
And that was some of the best advice. I still tell kids that now. I mean, of course, factor in some of the football stuff, but if you're going to go to a place, would you go there if you weren't on scholarship?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said this before,
because you need to be happy and in the right headspace to perform.
Yeah.
Well.
I was saying this when everybody was rolling out after Saban left. You don't commit to Coach Saban, you commit to the university.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those guys stood by the university, and I'm so happy that they did, and the ones that left, some of them I think left because they got offers to, maybe get life-changing money. And that's not what's supposed to be happening, but that's the world we live in right now. And I'm not even going to sit here and tell you that I'm so moral that I wouldn't take the money.
Yeah.
But look, if somebody came in and offered me the right amount of money to go do a show with, I don't know, Jalen Hurts, I'd be like, good seeing you. I've got to go. If they were like, Tua, we need you to get started with somebody.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I do love Tua, though. You can't count Tua against me, but I like Jalen. He's all right. But you're still up at the top of my list, man. But for the right money, though.
Let me tell you.
You would take it too, man. What's your buy? Did you see that?
I'm about to see if Eli wants to start a podcast.
Did you see where do you know who the $1 Million Man is in wrestling?
I've heard the $1 Million Man.
There's a guy named the $1 Million Man, and he used to have a bodyguard named Virgil on wrestling when I was growing up as a kid. Virgil died this week, so condolences to his family. He's one of my I love that character. $1 Million Man's from Mississippi. And but a great character. And he used to always say every man has his price. Oh, I'm just kidding though, man. You know what? I mean, look, I could be bought. You're gonna have to get up there in the 6 digits though to break this up. I might not have as much fun, but I'd have a better car.
Hey, you got a brand new car.
I know.
You just have a different logo on the front.
Yeah, man. Got brand new car, and damn rock hit my car and broke the windshield. I have before I even made one payment.
Oh,
why do I have that kind of luck, man? If I left and did another show for the money, they'd fire me after 2 episodes. I'd laugh too hard at the snake comment, and I'd work for somebody that didn't think I was funny, and out I'd go. Mr. Gillispie, can we talk to you, man? Yeah. Hey, we want to thank you for the everything that you did. Look, man, you've got a big future, but the snake comment didn't go over well. No, snakes biting penises. Yeah, it's not what we want. It's not where we want our media company to go. Well, he played football, so he can say that. You laughed. You laughed way too hard.
Shank followed up with was worse than what I said.
Yeah. Shank's awesome talent. I can't wait to get those guys back in studio.
We'll have to get them. After what? You're going out of town next Wednesday, aren't you?
Yeah, I got to go to Arizona.
We'll get them out. And after that,
Monday we
need Shank and Roosevelt in here.
Do it, man. We got
those two together would be pretty hilarious.
We got John Lieber, which I don't know how much you guys are going to enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy this.
John Lieber,
pitcher for the Cubs.
Yep. He used to.
Great pitcher.
Yep.
I mean, really.
Well, I grew up with that was when I was infatuated with baseball, and so whenever he was on, my dad would always be like, "Mobile guy, we're watching."
Hey, we should get some John Lieber baseball cards, and just during the course of the show, get him to sign them. Hey, what were you doing here? I mean, how cool is it when you pitched in the big leagues, and you got a real baseball card?
Oh yeah. No telling how many he's got,
They send him I'm good friends with Jody Davis, and he'll give me his card, but he always signs him "Go Dogs." He's a big Georgia fan.
That's how you know your friends.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I tried to give him away on my Cubs channel on YouTube, and no one wanted them. They love him, but they don't want the "Go Dogs" card. Go Cubs. So your dad made you watch him, huh?
Well, I mean, well, we watch baseball all the time, and so, I mean, I remember I used to love watching the Braves, but when I was eating up with baseball, I'd watch it, and I know my dad would talk about John Lieber when he'd be playing, and we'd watch him a lot just because he was from Mobile, and he was a familiar face and name, and plus I know y'all hadn't met, but John's he's a great guy.
Can't wait.
Man, he's such a good guy. You'll like him a lot, and I think everybody listening will like him a lot too. If you're into baseball, I'm excited to talk to him because he's not a real big analytics guy. He's
I already know
school kind of guy.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah, I got to get you guys on my Cubs channel too. Yeah, I can't wait.
I saw him it's so funny because again, I told you this, but
yeah,
I've been recently trying to get him on the show, and then all of a sudden, when we're calling back and forth, I see him at Joseph A. Bank. He's getting ready for his daughter's wedding, and I got to go get a tux for a wedding coming up next few weeks, and that's when we started talking about it. And he's like, I can't even watch it. And he's like, even they talk about the speed these guys are throwing, it's no faster.
Jody Davis told me that.
I don't want to ruin.
No, Jody Davis told me that the guns are wrong.
Yeah, they're getting it out of their hand now.
Yeah, he told me that. He said that on a TV broadcast we were doing. He was like, "There's no way. Like they're not. It's not like all of a sudden guys are throwing 105 now. No, this guy's throwing
John
better."
Was like Aroldis Chapman. That guy's throwing 100 miles an hour,
right.
but you don't have
not everybody's doing it,
because when I was talking to him, I was like, it's crazy now. Kids in college are everybody's throwing 96, 97, even in college. And he was like, I could just tell it was making his skin crawl. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, I love it. Bring it on.
And he's just, John's way, just calmly. That's not how it's working. No.
Well, he's bringing whiskey and cigars. So, I mean, I'm all about this.
Hey, that's the pitcher's way. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's going to be great. That's our next show.
Yeah.
So for those of you that have made it through an hour and 46 minutes, you'll know that next show. And then the next show, I'm going to be out of town. So because it's going to be a very different type show. But it'll be a good show. It'll be a good show.
Have fun with it.
We're going to do this, because what we found.
That'll be when we talk about Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Monday we'll talk about that. A little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Mostly baseball.
Yeah, mostly baseball. But by the
I want to get Josh Donaldson in here because of all the wild stories I've heard about him.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. Just like I've seen him play. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many instances where you're like, this guy's a lunatic. I mean, not that way, but just like he's always getting into it with people, hitting home runs and talking trash, and a fun guy to watch.
One of the bad trade for the Cubs to have traded him. And I don't even think he was like the main piece in the trade, but the A's always know what you got, man. They always know what you got, and you make trades with them, they're gonna beat you.
They always know what you got. Know what you're holding.
Oh yeah. Yep. I'm sure they would have made the same trade if you would have put somebody else in there, and it turned out to be like a great player. But you know what? Maybe to his advantage, you go up there and it's a different media market. It's not like you're going to Wrigley Field to play. You're playing in front of like a minor league crowd in Oakland, and then you get to kind of get your feet wet.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see what he says. Great ball player.
Oh, me too.
Great ball player. He may disagree with me. I don't know, but I remember when he got traded, and then so I probably have a lot to talk about with him.
Yeah, I love the story. What did he say? That video of him, he's saying, if you've got he puts a ball on tee, he's like, if you've got a coach that tells you to swing down on the ball, don't listen to him.
He like Oakland was all about, like, they were one of the first teams that were like hitting the ball in the air is a good thing. you know?
Yeah, that was always when I was growing up, it was always ground balls are good. Ground balls are good.
Right. Hit line drives. You try to hit the line, which I still think are good, but no, they want you to hit it in the air now. But the game changes all the time. I mean, it's it's constant.
Just make good contact.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. So let's get them on, man. I mean, this is what the off season's all about. And guess what? Next week we got spring football too.
Yeah. Exciting times.
I know. Here we go.
Just waiting on September.
I know. I mean, the offense has got to be good. The secondary, I just can't see how the secondary is going to be good. But the minute that we're
going to be all right. This is the new era. This is what
the 8A game ends.
We live in the mud, Mick.
And the transfer portal opens 2 days later. So you know what you got and what you don't got, and you be aggressive in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know. Yeah. Well, great show, man. Anything that I didn't get to that you want to talk about?
I covered all the bases.
We got it all.
Looking forward to Monday.
I am too, man. Well, great job.
I don't say that often either.
You have a different life than me. I just throw that out there. I do this for like everything I do. You got other stuff that you got to do. So Sunday night, you're probably like my dad used to be like, about 6 o'clock.
Go to bed.
Yeah. 6 o'clock, you're like, fuck. That means get to bed, get up in the morning, get ready and go off somewhere. Look nice doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, guys, we appreciate all of you for hanging out with us here on Disrupt the Media's Elephant in the Room. And again, please like and subscribe, share with your friends, get in the comments section and tell us what you think. As we build this channel, you guys have made this what it is. And so for Jake Coker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget that we're brought to you by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Up to 50% price match to $1,000 with the promo code Next Round. We will talk to you guys on Monday. And if everything goes as planned, we'll have John Lieber with us, the former major leaguer. We'll bring some of his cards and just randomly hand them to him. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. And roll Tide.
Roll Tide.